Hello everybody and welcome back to LMM. Today you find me taking my Bini to the Didcot Railway Centre's transport event. And what's most exciting about all of this isn't the fact that I'm meeting up with some of my friends to bring in their vehicles, but the fact that the mighty Bini is about to tick over that all-important 100,000 miles. Yes, I have been driving it quite a lot since I got it. So it's there, it's any second now. I've enlisted a cameraman to capture the magic moment as it comes up. It's a special moment when your car does 100k. So it's the 100k Mini going to a show. I'm happy with that. That's special. But first, we had to pull over at the rendezvous point to pick up the rest of the expanded team. There were meant to be 4 of us attending the show, and whilst we waited for everybody to arrive, the conversation turned to the normal maintenance type things.
Oh, I was just like, probably best to check the tyre pressures on MDX because then, it's been sat there and that's the one thing.
We didn't have to wait long for all the cars to be in attendance, and then it was just around the corner to arrive at the rally field, and we were some of the first there, which meant we could set up in the prime spot, where clearly some of the LMM hangers-on thought that they'd be helpful and decorate my car. And soon we were set up at the front with our banner in front of all the classic vehicles. And so the most obvious thing to do now is to go and have a walk around and see what was there. There was a strong turnout from the classic car fraternity, including this absolutely gorgeous Rolls Royce. In fact, it was a very good and varied show with a lot of interesting vehicles from across the ages. There were other vehicles, like this fire engine, which unfortunately I didn't get to have a good look at because it disappeared off on a shout. The main feature, however, were the buses, many of which were running shuttle services between the rally field and Didcot Railway Centre. So sit back and enjoy a few clips as we walked around all of these absolutely superb machines. And as you may have heard in the background of those shots, there was a display of stationary engines, including this absolutely wonderful little Ruston. And being a transport rally, there was a good turnout of miniature traction engines. Now, these things never fail to impress me. I'm always in awe at the sheer amount of skill, time and effort that is required to be able to build one, and certainly compared to the full-sized, these things are a lot more portable and easy to get on with. And these were just chugging around on the rally field, which is a lovely thing to see. And it wasn't just miniatures that were in attendance, no, there were 2 full-size traction engines, including this absolutely gorgeous Clayton and Shuttleworth named Dusty. Something that I am very, very jealous of. The other engine was a lot more local to me, having been built in Leiston by Garrett, and it was this absolutely magnificent showman's tractor, just gorgeous in its livery with all the shiny brass. Now, at this point, we'd had quite a good look around, and we thought the best thing to do would be to hop on a bus and head over to the railway centre, because amazingly, I'd never been before. We arrived to see the Blue King posed outside the shed, and the Class 14 are running services on Didcot's main line. Shed. And it really was glorious. Now, for someone who has not been here before, this is it. This is that image from all of those paintings you see of the golden age of steam. This, without anything in steam, without anything moving, just absolutely oozes atmosphere. For a brief second, as I looked upon this behind me, I thought I was back here in the day. Everybody talks about the atmosphere here at Didcot, but to come and sample it for myself, well, this is really something else. So I think my favourite thing about all of this is you wander around this shed full of big engines, and right at the back is this absolutely beautiful diminutive little machine which rivals my own for the longest nameplate versus sheer amount of footage, being Bonnie Prince Charlie. Yes, it's possibly a bit longer than actually letters per foot than Sir William McAlpine, but isn't it brilliant? You look at this thing, it looks so amazingly out of place amongst these giants, and for that I absolutely love it. I want this one, please. As one would expect, there was quite the variety of Western locomotives within the shed, although it wasn't the larger ones which were attracting my attention.
It does look as if it ought to be narrow gauge.
I mean, it pretty much is.
Except for the fact
It's like a scaled up model. I want to take this home. What a fantastic...
I suppose it's part of the fact that it's a well tank, so you don't have anything on the side to give it kind of an extra sense proportion, or a saddle tank to kind of bulk up the look of the boiler. But it's so toy. I want this. I'm gonna. This will go in my suitcase. This will go home. In fact, where are you? Give me your backpack. It's going in that. We put the backpack. Take it home. Right. I'll start at the front. Despite my best efforts, I couldn't quite fit the locomotive into the backpack. But no matter, because as soon as I'd walked around it, there was another tiny engine that took my fancy. Oh, look at this, isn't it fantastic? Now, seeing something that has been totally Swindonised with the addition of the safety valve. Oh, it's got a bell. Having the bonnet up there is really cool. And then, what on earth happened here? Let's stick it here on the outside. Now, there are some advantages. Numero uno is when you've got your oil can, you go, oh, it's done, rather than having to clamber underneath. But such a convoluted system of putting it on. It's magnificent, isn't it? Bonkers, but magnificent. Also, it is so small that Great Western in the standard font only just fits across the tank. There is like 3 inches of space that side and maybe 2 inches of that just to fit it on the tank. To which it just makes it look even smaller. If the text had been made smaller so it fitted, you'd kind of go, that works. It's all kind of the right scale. But as it's been made just on there like that, it's absolutely... I want this. Absolutely. What are these buffers? Oh, brilliant, with added bits so it can't buffer lock. I've got 3 engines I want to take home today, and this is number 3. Actually, it's probably the top of the list, to be honest, but this is great. As we started to drag ourselves out of the shed, we saw the sign inviting us up onto the footplate of Hinderton Hall. And it would have been really rude to say no, really, wouldn't it? and I took the opportunity to show the footplate to my friends and explain the controls, as well as just soaking up that atmosphere of being in the last great steam shed, and just for a second allowing ourselves to dream that we were back in the day and everything here was about to get ready to go out to work the network. Having finally managed to get ourselves outside, we are in time to see the 14 once again propelling its train past the Blue King. And then it was time to go and find the other tiny engine. Trojan here has been near the top of my want to see list for quite some time. It's such a wonderfully characterful little Swindonised tank engine. I think it's super. So obviously we had to go for a ride behind it. And we turned up here, in the transfer shed. So called the transfer shed because it is an original broad gauge to narrow gauge, or as we call it, standard gauge transfer shed where goods would be offloaded from one to the other. And it is also the home of the broad gauge here at Didcot, with the replica Firefly sat outside on the broad gauge dual track, where when it was working you would have a demonstration ride. And we hopped up onto the footplate of the other replica, the Iron Duke, to discuss it.
Bear in mind, the most important thing about this is, right, we just need a little bit more steam. We'll just wind this up one. Just there, just a bit more steam, bit more steam. There we go. And bang. Yes, it's like, we need 2 more kegs on the express. No worries, Steve. Let's just adjust that a bit more. And there we go. That looks so wrong, doesn't it?
It does a little bit, yes. But then again, this is supposed to be more of a... I don't think the public is more to be staring at the cap. The boiler basically opens about.
Do you know, it's actually one of these things that I've seen several times but never got this close to it. It just doesn't look right, does it? This is a plate that was put over
to hide the fact that the boiler is...
The density is not correct, yes.
Yeah.
But the thing that you appreciate, well, you don't appreciate on a day like today when you're inside and how nice it is how absolutely grim this would have been charging down the main line, doing, because these were good like 70 miles an hour, weren't they? They were rapid. And it's like, look at that cloud. Oh, it's raining. There's nothing. I mean, you can kind of be like this and be like, I'm sheltering from it, but it would be absolutely god awful. Who would pay for it? Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? I don't imagine stomping along here a bit, pull back one on the reverse here, which doesn't move because it's been locked, and just going on.
Should of course also be noted there are more controls down here on the side.
So that's the blower.
Yes.
Through to there.
Yes, the thing is that when you stood back here, it looks exactly as you expect. But then when you get closer, the nerding starts to notice all the things that are wrong.
Like if you notice here, you can see the inside the inner, well, the outer firebox is inside the frame. It looks so weird because you've got your firebox and the wheels spaced out over there in some kind of weird...
So strange.
Just down from the Iron Duke replica, there was a model railway, and to stop me and Jay from being such grumpy old men, we were given the controllers. And feeling a bit better, we watched Trojan leave before setting off on foot to explore some more of the museum. we found ourselves looking at some of the rolling stock and some of the amazing work that Didcot do, both restoring and maintaining their phenomenal collection of great Western coaches and wagons. Walking through the shed and looking at all of the items was absolutely magnificent, and the sheer amount of effort and time and skills in order to restore and maintain these vehicles is absolutely phenomenal. And the fact that there are still projects being worked on, things being brought back to life, we found magnificent. If you haven't been, it's seriously worth a look of just walking around and seeing the sheer variety of things on show and just marvelling at some of the work. They also had cool things like this, the Great Western Flying Banana, one of the first generation rail cars, and just so beautifully styled. They also had this, the locomotive that works the transverser, the thing I want to drive at Didcot most because it is just incredible, isn't it? The whole site is actually pretty massive, and being able to walk around and just sample what feels like a real Great Western outpost was really quite amazing. And having wandered around and got our fill, we decided we'd wander back over to the main line and pick up the 14 for our way back. And having arrived, we waved goodbye to the 14 and made our way back across to the rally field. The day was now starting to get on, with some of the exhibitors deciding it was time to head for home. So we waved goodbye to the Trojan engine and continued our walk. One of the things running here today at the Didcot Railway Transport Event thing is Trojan. And they've told me that I can have a go driving it.
Is that top one?
Yep.
Wind it all the way in for it to go
For open.
It's a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be.
This is great. We'll slow into that and screw you in.
Yeah.
Oh, it blows off and we'll shut the blower down. Sorry.
So this is Poly Engineering's prototype Trojan. So it's not really it's not the full size one, but this is the very first. Yeah. It's also very hot. Oh. It's really nice to see Poly actually doing something like prototypical and different.
As I thanked the guys from the Ickenham and District Society of Model Engineering and Pollen themselves for letting me take the little engine out, we noticed that it was very much going home time with vehicles leaving the rally field. But we weren't done yet, because we've been told to return to Didcot because we were going to get to drive something there.
So I'm here on the platform here at Didcot, waiting for the train to go for a ride.
Your train, sir.
That's not what I was expecting at all. But I'm not saying I'm disappointed. Let's go. Jesus, what? This is so scary being in the middle.
That's what I was talking about earlier.
This is awful.
You're the brake as well.
Brakes, Lawrie.
Brakes.
I've got the brakes, it's fine. I've got my hand on.
Well, does it have AWS? What is the brakes? Technically, it's got the bell for it.
That was very effective braking. That was hilariously good fun. Thank you very much.
It's all right.
Enjoyed that. Thank you very much.
We're supposed to be leaving. Yeah, I'm just rolling it over just back to where it went.
It has a habit of looking at top.
I can imagine, yeah. Right, basically meeting, so I think we should probably make our leave. So that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have enjoyed it, links coming up on the screen now for other YouTubey stuff. I'm going to go and have a lie down. And also check the video description for more information on the Didcot Railway Centre. Oh God.
I should probably